with Cloud9's overall team play style.
Now here we go, guys. Of course, we are into the game, and we'll see what kind of utility gets brought up and banned away. The Rumble ban, another really popular one. The Sona dropped away from Patoy. And so here's the 3 of 12 bans for Dignitas. They've picked one so far with the Rumble. We'll see what the other 2 end up being.
They went with the most popular one of the bunch because of the 20 games Cloud9's played, 10 Rumble bans against them. Also, here's another did you know, there was only 1 Nasus ban against Cloud9 this entire year, even though it's their most played champion.
Wow, and actually they're leaving up the Zac that was, I think, their most banned jungler, and they did ban the Ashe out. So they're leaving a lot of things open here for Cloud9 that a lot of teams typically ban away from them. This will be interesting to see how they set this up. Of course, the Master Yi banned away. You heard Scarra's interview say, yeah, they keep banning away our team comps. So the Master Yi comp not allowed, nor is the Rise.
And I like actually here the opportunity Dignitas has for themselves and what they've created. So they get the first pick of Elise, which is something the KiWiKiD will be comfortable on. Additionally, for Dignitas, Lee Sin is Crumbz's most played jungler, and he wants to pick that as well. But then to get even farther back to our earlier discussion, this is going to mean Cloud9 plays something a little different. Because if they don't ban the most banned champions against Cloud9, even though they're banned for a reason, you're at least making them do something different than they did in previous weeks, which I think gives Dignitas a slight edge.
And it's interesting, too, because these guys actually share a bit of a champion pool. The Zed and the Zac both locked in here. Those are favorites of Scarra and Crumbzz in the season in general, too.
Yeah, so obviously it's Cloud9 getting the better of every team like they do in Champion Select, but this is at least giving Dignitas a little bit of a chance here.
And interesting, they're doing something quite a bit different now that some of the favorite picks have been dropped out. I'm trying to remember the last time I saw Fiddlesticks on Dignitas. Certainly it was, we've seen Fiddle a fair bit as support, we've seen Nintendo jungle it, but with Jarvan in there, that's the support Fiddle for Patoy, I'm guessing.
This is not something we've seen very much of from Dig.
No.
And I wonder what they're going to end up laning with the Fiddlesticks. I'd expect a Caitlyn later coming out from Dignitas, just because the ranged harass/safety that lane provides, as well as its 2v1 split, like laning and split push potential is very high. And it's, again, just mixing things up against Cloud9, which is something I feel like Cloud9 actually needs to do more of, and Dignitas is doing it to them.
Well, here we go then. Cloud9's going to have to make some adaptations, and if Dignitas happen to hide this strategy for them in their scrimmages, right? They said, yeah, they're one of our big scrim partners, but as long as you keep something in your back pocket you don't show them, maybe they are throwing Cloud9 for a loop, and you're seeing them take a long time for their picks. They're going to put Sneaky on Twitch. Also got a Shen in there, so 2 ninjas in the lineup. Yeah,
this is interesting, and I'm very happy to see something at least a little bit different from Cloud9. Shen in the top lane is not something we've seen balls on very much, if at all. And then Twitch is what a lot of the main Draven players swapped over to once Draven lost his, or at least got a different passive in the 3.9 patch. So we should see that very aggressive lane Sneaky with, I would actually guess Thresh is going to be Cloud9's last pick, and then ninjas on the rest of the map.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of damage output here. It's interesting, actually, that Thresh has gotten so far through the champion pool as well, that, like, no one's been rushing to grab that one up right here. So now with part of the bottom lane known right here, knowing that Twitch can scale one to late game, can also bully a little bit as well, it's KiWiKiD's turn to make some choices on his AD carry. He said his favorite is Graves in his blog earlier this week, and he might just be going back to Comfort.
And this is Dignitas' chance here. Scar knows his lane matchups. He's been playing a lot of casting lately, and then there's a lot of Graves as well for KiWiKiD, as you mentioned. This is actually a pretty successful pick ban phase for Dignitas. Even getting the Jarvan, which is a standard jungler, something Crumbzz kind of likes going back to if he's on the tanky junglers, it works. KiWiKiD and Scarra are going to both be on assassin-type champions with the front line they've already been able to create. It's a bit of a comfort level for Dignitas here.
Okay, so here we go. Dignitas lineup is here. The lock-in goes in for LemonNation. It's going to be Zyra, actually. So a lot of crowd control here from the Cloud9 lineup, and if they can line them up into a nice little row, Twitch going to have a field day there.
Just spray and pray his way to victory with their 90% win rate. So this is another combination of the Cloud9 bottom lanes we've seen, because initially it was just the Zyra Ashe that we saw, and we thought it was all about chaining the root into the arrow into the Zyra ult. And then we saw Ashe Thresh. It wasn't quite as good, but they still won the game. You take out Ashe, it still puts them with Zyra. So at least Cloud9 is broadcasting here that they like Zyra and Ashe individually as picks, not just as a combo. And I want to see if this works out just as well, or if they're forcing themselves into the Zyra pick.
And what's interesting, too, is just, you talked about how the fact that they're picking individual champions that are very, very similar, that even though the team comp is a bit of a new look, because, the same 5 parts haven't been together, I want to see how it works out, though, because we typically see them early game aggression, you get good dives going on, you get good team fights out of it, and we'll see if that's in the workings here for the Cloud9 group. But of course, Dignitas, as you mentioned, on a good number of comfort picks themselves as well. Champions they're used to. Specifically,
it seems like Dignitas is prepared better for this pick and ban phase than they did for a lot of their pick and ban phases last week. It's been a big struggle for them as at least Dignitas has tried to figure out what will work for their team. When you're slumping, you're constantly trying to change things around, and within their iteration, they made some mistakes last week.
Yeah.
Something that they definitely know is Scarra likes Kassadin, and he's more willing now to pick Kassadin into these difficult lane matchups.
Yeah.
Starting with the Doran Shield and just going for the mid-game roam. You need your captain of your team to be comfortable in these games, and that's why Scarra, I think, keeps going over to Kassadin.
So here we go, guys. Into the Rift we go. Dignitas in the bottom left corner, Cloud9 on the red trunks in the top right. And just so you guys know, once again, Dignitas tied for 5th place right here, but they're just 1 game behind the 3rd place tie. And of course, if they can keep winning and get themselves in the top 2, Cloud9 get a win here, and they guarantee top 2 by the end of the regular season. So you mentioned actually about Scarra being confident picking Kassadin into rough lanes. He's got either a 1v2 or a Zed in front of him, probably.
These lanes are very painful for Scarra. He's going to try, in an ideal world, to lane against Shen. Because at least Shen isn't going to kill him immediately.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a whole bunch of damage. None of these lanes are actually good for Scarra, but the best possible scenario is if they can somehow get him against balls.
So let's see if they can find this one. The early wards coming down into the opposing jungles will help the teams spot lane swaps. I think that's one of the important things that teams try to look for in their level 1s here. So we'll see who gets the better of the lane matchups. A minute in, and Dignitas starting to get back into their own jungle, but Cloud9 still looking aggressive.
A lot of these games can swing a little bit on level 1, and Cloud9, I think, should be taking these games now, since they're so close to locking up the #1 seed and safely in the playoffs, as a bit of an exploration phase. They should be pushing the limits of their team and doing things they wouldn't normally do if they're playing a really important game. Because even though these games are super important for Dignitas, Cloud9 doesn't necessarily need to win out.
That's true, and it's actually fun watching what teams will do in scrims when the pressure's a little bit off. There's a clip from one of the CLG scrims where Double Lift rocket jumps over a wall to buster shot like an enemy jungler into his team just to initiate a fight and then flashes back over.
And it worked really well.
Yeah, it was great.
The thing. Because at least for Cloud9, they need to be able to diversify themselves as they move towards the even North American playoffs and then Worlds.
So here we go. Scarra is going to be heads up against High right here. Looks like Cloud9 running more or less standard stuff, but Dignitas, they've made a quick move right here to try to steal away one of the blues. We'll see if Dignitas can get more than 2 buffs out of this.
This is clever because they might be able to get a successful blue steal here since none of Cloud9's wards predicted this invade. So unless Meteos goes directly into the Dignitas blue buff, which he is, the gang's not going to work. Meteos read it perfectly.
And he does have 2 members in the top lane as well, that the lane setup here for Cloud9 will allow them to support Zac if he does get jumped on right here. So it looks like a pretty successful, well, I should say safe and standard-ish level 1 setup here. The buff's going on both sides. Scarra, though, he's being pushed into his lane right now, and we want to see if he can keep up and farm there in a rough lane.
And we expect that lane to be as rough as possible. That's the reason High also started with a red elixir, because he's just going for an absolute bully lane against Scarra. But I do want to talk about Meteos a little bit, himself as a jungler, because even though he's a straightforward jungler, he always seems to make the right decisions, and he does it very quickly. There was no hesitation there about what buff he was going to go to after his red, because he knew he had a 2v1 lane top and that Patoy and Imaqtpie are in the bottom lane. It was more dangerous for him, regardless of where the jungle was, to go to his own blue, because there's a chance that was going to get stolen.
And of course, now we have the other big decision point here of where the junglers go, and it's going to be a 3v2 lane top right here. So Cloud9 trying to get the pressure down, because poor Balls is alone on the right-hand side. So if Crumbzz and KiWiKiD can hold on to this one, this might be a good setup for Dig.
And I think the teams that are the most successful against Cloud9 are the ones that can extend the laning phase as long as possible. So this is a smart move by Dignitas to have Crumbzz at least mirror Meteos' early game movement. And since it was a 3v2 and a 2v1 lane, it means those side turrets are going to last much longer in this matchup.
Oh, and a really good taunt though. KiWiKiD is going to not actually take turret damage. He actually managed to get in range right between turret shots. So KiWiKiD safe there, putting pressure on that turret. Of course, Patoy also fearing Balls under the turret prevented much counterattack.
And here's another quick decision for Meteos. He spent a 1 wave up top, knowing Crumbzz is there to counter push, and immediately he comes down to help out Balls here. They recognized that Balls was going to lose that turret sooner rather than later, and they don't want a huge turret discrepancy to build up against them. Additionally, there's these 2v2 fights that can happen.
And Sneaky down to 1/3 health, flashing away. Ignite is burning on him. It might not be enough damage. just survives with 47 health left. Sneaky has got to get out of that one. Crumbzz making a good decision to stay in that lane.
I like these starts from Dignitas. You can see Scarra is still surviving. He's only down 9 minion kills to High, made him burn that red elixir without dying. And Dignitas' 2v2 lane, which is what these have turned into, has been more successful thus far than what Balls and Meteos have done to KiWiKiD and Patoy.
And that's very good for them. You're seeing the gold lead so far stick equal, despite we talked about that mid lane match being so rough. A 14 minion kill deficit for Scarra. High burned his red elixir to do that, but again, build a big lead. But Dignitas, as we mentioned, those other lane matchups have let them stay equal so far. And LemonNation gets jumped on as well.
Look out, he's still level 2.
And this is a lot of pain coming off. Crumbzz actually going to ditch the turret aggro, but KiWiKiD still wants this one. If he has Repel, he's going to be safe. First blood picked up there to KiWiKiD. Nice job.
And that is just the 2v2 dive. KiWiKiD, you're in trouble as well, man.
Oh, the barrier just in time. It's going to make Cloud9 walk away from this one. KiWiKiD, 34 HP. First blood still taken without answer.
That's something about KiWiKiD, though. He still had his flash. He was rather confident that he wasn't going to die in that lane, and that actually takes a very high amount of game awareness to be able to save your flash in that situation. Back and forth, that is a good trade by Dig, as they're playing this early game quite well.
They are, absolutely. So here we go. Crumbzz still putting the pressure on a Sneaky. He has not left that lane for a while. Of course, neither has Meteos down on the bottom. Now looking to recall, but I feel like Sneaky's playing with fire there. He was waiting right in front of that brush, just that LemonNation was coming.
He's just trying to get a bit of an advantage in that lane since technically they're in the 2v1. I think this game is really going to start swinging based on what High and Scarra can pull off here in the mid lane, because they are both on assassin-type champions, and if High can keep Scarra down, High's going to rescue the rest of the Cloud9 lanes that haven't been playing well so far.
And there's actually one thing I want to sort of point out is that we see a lot of Kassadin's run teleport. I feel like it's a fairly common summoner spell for these guys. Actually, High, he's got the ulti goes on Scarra. He misses the Qs, he gets knocked up, has to flash away, just enough damage with the death mark, gets out of that one with 100 health.
That was the very dangerous risk that Scar was sitting on. As soon as High hits 6, there's no reason to stick around before you've built substantial amounts of armor or have a counterplay to that. It was death as soon as he hit 6.
And KiWiKiD knocked at the end of the air, trying to dash away, still has the flash from last time, pops it right there, but there comes the Cloud9 attack. 2 kills to 1, nice pickup.
He got a little too safe with that flash right there, and it ended up costing him.
And here comes Crumbzz around the back, though. Sneaky LemonNation, this could be rough. KiWiKiD is right there. Lemon gets knocked up into the air, goes down to Crumbzz, and now it's Sneaky who's caught without flash, stuck in the Cataclysm. KiWiKiD just putting down auto attacks, and Sneaky goes in for the damage up, but will not find enough. 2 kills picked up for Dignitas. Action everywhere.
That was a nice bait by KiWiKiD after that fight. He knew that LemonNation and Sneaky were going to be getting a little aggressive, and this is that strange mismatched lane we have between Sneaky and LemonNation, where Lemon is about the disengage from Zyre, whereas Sneaky is about the all-in from Ashe, and they're not quite in sync yet with their objectives. They went too far in that fight, and then you could see they had nothing left to escape once Crumbzz came in after KiWiKiD's bait.
And I've got to say, Crumbzz has made every single kill happen so far for his team. You see that they are 3 kills in the lineup, and Crumbzz is 1-0-2. Actually, I suppose to be fair, KiWiKiD as well. So every kill is just kind of happened between those two guys. They're making Dignitas work right now. But
what's really funny about this is Cloud9's up in gold. They're up 1 turret to 0, and at least for now, Balls is keeping Imaqtpie and Patoy at bay in that lane. So until Dignitas can get one of these turrets back, even though it seems like they played this early game tremendously, it's not giving them huge rewards yet.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at who's really doing the best on each lineup. Of course, KiWiKiD, again, 2-0-1, 37 minions, clearly one of the major carries for this lineup here. At the same time, as you mentioned that KiWiKiD has been held down, Sneaky is having a better game than KiWiKiD. But also it's High who's holding up a minion lead as well. So you've got the mid laner and AD carry for Cloud9. The top laner for Dignitas, though, you've got interesting matchups here.
And I think we're going to start seeing some movement towards the Dragon here, since Lemon has left Sneaky up to farm, as well as a fight in mid.
Oh, and the standing unit comes out to try to save High. Will it be enough? The death bar comes across, but the kill's been traded, but there comes Meteos. KiWiKiD caught up right there. 400 gold for the shutdown. Thank you very much for Shen. But Dignitas turned back for a turret.
You know what, though? Since Sneaky was the whole time pushing in the top lane, and that was a 2-for-1 for Cloud9, and the turret they gave up was already low beforehand, that was a tremendous trade by Cloud9 getting 2 kills out of High's death.
So really good stuff by them, and of course Sneaky, as we saw right there, is standing on a pink ward. You never know if that's going to pay off for him at some point. But Cloud9, you said that Dragon might be on the table soon. Dignitas has already pink warded that, so they might be looking to take control of that location on the map.
So the reason I thought the Dragon was going to be happening is because it was a potential 5v4 in that sector of the map. But then Dignitas tried the kill on high, essentially overcommitted, and then gave up 2 kills, negating their chance at getting that Dragon for themselves. This is actually something that Dignitas has fallen prey to multiple times this season, where they will overcommit to kills and lose the overall picture of the game and miss out on objectives.
And speaking of overall picture, Cloud9 has pulled Sneaky down from the top lane, so they are the ones with control over Dragon without even warding it themselves. So Dignitas are going to know about this, and they're collapsing.
And Dignitas does have an opportunity to fight this here, but they will be undermanned. It's a very touchy fight. LemonNation is only level 4 though, plus that's a lot of damage that went down early.
And the taunt miss right there, but the smite comes off from Meteos. The team is regrouping. Only Crumbzz is still to come in on this one. Balls is caught a little bit alone, does not have flash, has been stunned, has been feared. Kill picked up by Scarra right there. 5-4, and now Sneaky forced to run away, but does not have mana to sneak away from this one. Slow comes out from Scarra. Will it be enough? Crumbzz gonna flash in. There's the Cataclysm. Sneaky forced to flash away. LemonNation now caught slowed down. The Crow Storm, happy birthday. Patoy making him walk the plank. Good kills picked up.
That was a very rare, indecisive move there for Cloud9, and Dignitas is decisive here.
And look at the decisiveness of kill picked up. Sneaky now caught in the back lines, and Crumbzz trying to make it happen. Pink ward comes down as well. That's another one right there. KiWiKiD making the assassination happen in the back line. 4 members alive still for Dignitas, but only Meteos and Balls are alive here.
Wow, so that was a whole bunch of kills for Dignitas as they chased through against Cloud9. Since at the Dragon, since Cloud9 was kind of sticking around, it seemed like some of them wanted to fight, but the rest of the team wanted to fall back. And that is not something you see from Cloud9 very frequently. Dignitas capitalized on that immediately, since Dignitas always goes for the kill, and it worked out great for them.
And I gotta give props to Scarra too, using the Rift Box to get in range for his slows, helping them to actually seal those off right there. So good stuff by these guys. LemonNation still trying to hold on to the mid lane, and of course, the gold lead tied up here, turrets tied up as well. Dignitas holding a kill lead versus Cloud9 minion kill lead, keeping the gold a little bit close. So now, guys end up going, because it basically now the lanes get to reset. Teams can do whatever they want and make sort of new decisions.
And it does seem like the main objectives are down for now. We can start seeing some of the items progress. Honestly, some people have a whole bunch more gold than everyone else. KiWiKiD with his 5 kills going towards that Elise powerhouse, 4,300 gold, top in the game by at least 700. KiWiKid's up and down season is going to be in a bit of an upswing after this game in that Elise. And then specifically, Balls' Shen build is something I wanted to point out as well, because he's went with the Spear Visage, which is been trending upwards for a lot of the Korean top laners. Shy and Flame have been picking that almost every game for the cooldown reduction on the Stand United specifically.
Oh, but the stun misses on a Sneaky, and they're going to go back in on the KiWiKiD. Repels up into the air, goes back to the minion line. He's going to get out of that one, but LemonNation showed up just in time to save him.
Crumbzz was definitely trying to bait that with KiWiKiD, and that's actually one of the ways KiWiKid's picked up a lot of his kills, is with really strong Elise baiting. Sneaky and Lemon have been falling for it, but not that time.
So here we go, then the lanes once again reset, but Crumbzz actually waiting around the wings again, finds the stun on LemonNation. Goodbye, Lemon, you've just been soured out, but now Meteos going in on the Scar a little bit. Nope, doesn't do too much with that one. They're just gonna get control over the turret, but the minions are falling over. I don't think they'll get, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was gonna say High never got in range to ult Scarra until now.
That's unfortunate right there. So High runs away from the fear of Fiddlesticks, otherwise safe, and that's actually 2 like just heads up kills by High against Scarra.
We kind of expected that when we recognized it was a Zed versus a Kassadin matchup. Kassadin doesn't do well in that matchup. Scarra's picked him for the team utility. So far it hasn't worked out. He's 1-4-3, but Scarra's role now is going to be keeping Cloud9 there, not necessarily assassinating, until Scarra gets a whole bunch more experience.
Ooh, KiWiKiD almost stole that, yeah. That was close. Nice try, KiWiKiD. Unfortunately, though, that was going to be Meteos picking that one up without Smite even, so just managing to last hit that with his abilities. So, man, we keep having kills all over the place. We got 15 kills in just under 14 minutes.
It's a bit of a bloodbath.
Pretty big bloodbath right here. And KiWiKiD, I feel like Sneaky should be afraid of this one. Spider's gonna have a good time against Rats, especially when Jarvan shows up here. Sneaky taking some poke under the turret, trying to last hit, but I feel like this is constantly Dignitas' sort of like place where they look for kills.
Yeah, and that's all Dignitas is doing this game, actually. They've fallen behind not only in golden objectives, but also in experience. And it's because they keep going for these kills. They're going to get it, though.
And they come with a pink ward as well, even if he did stealth, which he didn't get to by the end of that one. That would have been a kill picked up. I like that move by Dignitas. They keep bringing vision wards into their sneaky kills.
Ideally, if they can keep killing Cloud9, they're going to stop Cloud9 from being able to apply map pressure. But at least now, once they send 2 or 3 people up there, they have to make more happen out of it.
And here we go. They're going to go in for KiWiKiD right there. Repels up into the air, but does not have much of anywhere to go. Ball's going to keep moving forward, does as much damage as he can. Couple more attacks to go. No, a double knockup from Crumbzz right there. Now can he walk away? The flash taunt! Balls gets it shut down there on a KiWiKiD. Second death of the game for him. And here's the Let's Bounce. Crumbzz does not have flash. He has very few places to go. Flag toss does not get the Q over the wall. Double kill picked up there for Balls.
And here's why this is so good for Cloud9. They got the 500 gold for that kill on KiWiKiD with the shutdown. Actually, it wasn't full kill spree. It was like 430 something plus the assist pool. But that just extends Cloud9's gold lead since there wasn't any big objectives taken by Dignitas after all of KiWiKid's kills.
So really beautiful stuff then by these guys. Honestly, Cloud9 getting the counter ganks, forcing the issue. Both top laners now are actually huge factors in this game, and with Balls building some of that early magic resist, would even have a better time heads up against KiWiKiD. So some fortune kind of smiling on Cloud9 right here that their big tank can actually deal with the crazy spider assassin. And I mean, Balls is split pushing very deep in enemy territory.
And what he's laning against right now, which is Imaqtpie's AD carry, is the only thing he hasn't built resistances against. And even with that, he's doing a pretty good job bullying Imaqtpie. Everyone across the board on Cloud9 right now is a higher individual level than the person they're up against. Balls is 11, KiWiKid's 10. Meteos has got 2 levels on Crumbzz. High's got a level on Scarra. Sneaky's got a level on Imaqtpie. And it's just, everyone on Cloud9, you get like 500 to 700 gold in stats for a level. So it's not just the 2,000 gold Cloud9's up. It's more like 4.
Oh, almost knocks up on a KiWiKiD right here. Meteos going to try to bully out with the level advantage. High coming into range as well. Puts the Q down. There's the ult on the KiWiKiD. The flash not going to be enough to keep him alive. Yeah, Repel doesn't dodge that one.
It was a nice try. You were like, is the Repel going to save him from the death mark damage? I don't think that... Okay, it doesn't work. He just died in the air. It was a nice try, but that's the danger of getting all your eggs in the KiWiKiD gold basket. Cloud9's just going to pick him out and assassinate him.
And there we go. Scar getting jumped on right there. Good flash by Sneaky. Will it be enough damage? Yes, it will, but now it might be a buff transfer. Crumbzz and Patoy making that one happen. Double buff onto Crumbzz. However, Cloud9 has put the pink ward down. They're taking Dragon and the lower turret for this.
Yeah, Cloud9 is succeeding amongst the chaos of this game. 21 kills in 17 minutes is an absurd pace, and it's actually a Dignitas pace for games that they do well in, but Cloud9 is keeping up just fine.
They're definitely kings of fast games. I mean, even dating back to the qualifier matches back, 3 months ago at this point, they were playing 25-minute games. They knew how to close things out fast. But you see the pace still accelerating. KiWiKiD takes another turret down.
And there's a lot being forced on the map right now as Cloud9 is pushing up mid lane, whereas Dignitas is not willing to fall back in top.
And they found High right there. Feared, knocked up. He's just going to be going down right here. Kill picked up there for Imaqtpie. AD carry getting kills is nice, and they're still pushing, but there's defenders top lane.
Yeah, that's as far as that one's going to go because the kill on High is exactly what pulled Cloud9 back towards their base. This is still a very interesting game, even though I like Cloud9's chances just based on how cohesive they usually play as a team, being able to keep up with all the assassination backline approach from Dignitas.
And it's worth pointing out that of their slightly over 2,000 gold lead, almost all that is from the dragons they've controlled. That if you discount those, these sort of... It accumulates gold and experience for the team, and that's all nice, but as far as every other objective is concerned, they're still holding very, very true here.
Yeah, it's also the minion farm that Cloud9's been able to overtake Dignitas on. We knew that Dignitas picked up some bad lane matchups. There's no way Scar was going to keep up with High. That's why we see it's 40 more minion kills for High over Scarra. And then also, we know how well Meteos farms, and he's outpacing, at least in farm, Crumbzz.
He absolutely is right here. So now it's determined, or now it's really the time for Dignitas to figure out who gets the rest of this farm here. As the outer turrets fall, you have kind of longer lanes. You have a little bit more time to focus on some minion kills right here. And we had seen Scar in the bottom lane for a while. Now it's actually KiWiKiD on the top side of the map, taking a bunch of farm for himself. And it's Cloud9 looking for Balls with a split push with Stand United up.
And at least for now, it doesn't look like Dignitas has a good answer for Balls split push. A 4-and-1 Shen might be exactly what Cloud9 needs in this game to just just control Dignitas around the map and not let Dignitas get the team fights they want.
I feel like Meteos is exactly what they need.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
Here we go. Yeah, because Cloud9 is split push right now. Dignitas wants to dive, but Cloud9 might turn it around.
Here we go. Crumbzz diving out of this one. Sneaky has to take the shuttle right here. Scar in the middle of the team. Flashes back, still has turret aggro though. And that's going to force Dignitas away. His health bar is so low. Can they turn onto this one? No, Riftlock gets him out, but they catch on to Patoy. That's a kill picked up. The flash jump in from high. Oh, KiWiKiD, great mechanics right there, getting over the wall and out, but 1 kill for nothing.
Slippery escape there by KiWiKiD, but that's exactly why Cloud9 picked Zyra to turn those dives around. As soon as Dignitas came in, they stalled them long enough for High to collapse down from the top lane and Balls to come in with his ultimate as well, completely turning around that aggression by Dignitas.
And they get a turret for it. Great job by Cloud9, making a kill turn into a global objective. We've now seen 4 of them for Cloud9. 4 turrets. They've got the inner middle turret that is big. High even stealing away part of the jungle. They're stealing away part of the Wraith camp as well. Actually, all the Wraith camp as well. Cloud9 taking a lot after that kill.
This is still one of the most ridiculous Cloud9 games we've seen this season. Dignitas pushing right back up through the mid lane, still just trying to get kills back. That's the way Dignitas tries to come back in these games. They look at a person and they just go on them. That's the Kassadin style in a lot of these games, and they might just go for another dive in mid lane with another collapse coming in from Cloud9's High.
But High's on top of a ward. He doesn't know it right there. He does see that Patoy's lurking around. But here comes the engage anyway. They look on a KiWiKiD right there. QTPie on the backhand side. Meteos tries to knock him into the air. KiWiKiD has to rappel up into the air. There's High though, getting caught out, feared, and just dropped right down. Now here comes the rest. QTPie forced to run away. Meteos zoning him out, but the Crowstorm comes across. Meteos not really anywhere to go. The fear on a Sneaky just can't do any damage. Knock up there onto Balls, but Dignitas kind of running out of health bars right here. They put some pain on the Balls. The tanky frontliners refusing to go down for a while. Just a 1-for-1.
Just a 1-for-1 is right, because that fight had a lot more chaos than merits just 1 kill on each side. The teams actually disengaged fairly smoothly from one another. Scarra just doesn't have the items yet to have the Kassadin punch that he really needs, because High's been holding him down well in lane. If Scarra actually gets going a little bit more and picks up specifically some Magic Pen to go with all the mana and close to ability power he's picking up here, Sneaky's not going to be a factor later on in this game.
That's a good point, so we'll see if they can defend him. I mean, all they've got is what the Ball shield. That's like the only thing they can do to keep him alive against Scarra. So you're right about that lane matchup being really powerful for them. Of course, the Runic Bulwark has at least come out for Meteos, so that's at least passively helped them survive in these battles so far. Scarra had been doing a good job of being utility for the team, putting down slows and whatnot. And so I want to see where they go with this. He's got the blue buff. He'll get to be powerful again. Let's see where these guys go next, because Balls has his ultimate back up and is back to that split push. So again, Dignitas, as we said last time, didn't have much of an answer for it except for diving mid.
And hey, this game has been non-stop action, so I think we're going to see another fight pretty soon. Specifically, Balls, because of that Spear Passage that he built, the 20% CDR, has had to stand united up much more frequently than most Shens, which is giving Cloud9 the freedom to roam around his 4 and feel pretty safe here. And Dignitas is at least able to clear out their stuff before Cloud9 can steal it.
I like, though, how well Cloud9 are warding as they run through the jungle. They're checking a lot of things. They've got the Oracles there on LemonNation. He's putting down plants a lot to check over walls and see if someone's lurking around, who's clearing out wards, who could be ambushing us. So Lemon really helping to make this Vision game work for them. I like that a lot.
And it's specifically a very difficult game for LemonNation. He has died a lot. He was the lowest level in the game for quite a while. Still only level 9, 22 minutes in. He's a pinata at this point if Scar wants to kill him. He's just going to explode a true damage plant out of him and just try to kill someone there.
I mean, that is Zyra's full DPS combo, though. You do
That's
need to die.
That's how you get the full combo.
Exactly. Once you pressed R, it's like, okay, add your damage, die, use the passive. Meteos, though, getting knocked up. Dignitas wants a bit of a fight here, dropping them to 2/3. LemonNation shows up for defense, puts the plants down. And Dig will back out from this one. Patoy, though, wearing his own oracles, lurking a bit in the shadows, might be finding an engage.
Yeah, and speaking of shadows, High's trying to sneak through a little bit right now. I think if Dignitas overcommits once again, High is in the perfect flank position that he wants to be, and this is going to make the Dragon a potentially scary game for Dignitas right now. This could be yet another explosive fight.
Here we go, the jump in from Meteos goes on to KiWiKiD and Scarra, taunt onto Crumbzz. Crumbzz does not get away from this one. He's going to be falling over eventually, maybe. Finally, Sneaky picks him up, but KiWiKiD drops as well. 2 for nothing so far. Patoy's been soloed out by High, did not get to do anything in this fight. 3 for nothing, Cloud9, beautiful engage.
And that's just the zero hesitation and solid decision-making that we see again and again from Cloud9. 3 for 0 plus a dragon because they just went as soon as Dignitas made a somewhat questionable decision. This gold lead is getting a little bit out of hand now, Freak.
And the third dragon as well was picked up right there, so half the gold lead comes from that, half of that comes from their turret control and everything else. They're actually running right towards Bear. There's still death timers for Dignitas. This could be theirs.
And this is a game sense thing. They knew that they had 3 people down from Dignitas, and they have double Blade of the Ruined King, so they kill Baron actually very quickly with this combo. Can they beat Imaqtpie and Scarra to this Baron? I think they can.
Scarra's going to be in range, but he can't smite. That goes down. Great pick up there by Meteos. Blade of the Ruined King slow, but he jumps over the wall. So Baron, well done getting it off of that team fight.
This seems to be what happens in all the Cloud9 games. A lot of these recent ones, in the first 10 or 12 minutes or so, you're saying, all right, this is close. Maybe this team's going to give Cloud9 a run for their money. They're getting a lot of kills. You know, even Dignitas has taken down 3 turrets. But then you look up again at 25 minutes and you say, how did that 7,000 gold lead just happen?
Yeah.
It's because they control objectives so well. They keep their farm up in the lanes, and when they have a teamfight advantage, they go immediately, so they pick up their leads very quickly.
And you mentioned the great snap decision-making by Meteos, 0, 0, and 10. He's gotten 2/3 of his team's kills, never died for any of his fights. I can't even remember him having to use his passive on Zac this game, so kind of deserving of some of the praise this guy's been getting, making the fights happen for Cloud9.
And from here, I really wonder what Dignitas will do, since their strat this whole game has been find Cloud9, kill Cloud9.
Yeah.
That doesn't work anymore. Cloud9's gotten too much gold, and they're wearing a Baron buff. Find Cloud9 means die to Cloud9 right now, so hide and go seek maybe. Cloud9's probably going to look for another fight.
They found a little bit of silence onto Sneaky, but he's going to back up behind the turret, try to lifesteal back. KiWiKiD about to get caught out by Balls, but Crumbzz is there as well. Oh, he doesn't get the flag toss, so no knock up there. Balls forced to run, however, they took control of blue.
He didn't take any damage right there. He ran into 3 people from Dignitas, and he's still at full health. That barely got rid of the feint.
Yeah, well, at least the blue buff did get taken by Dignitas, so a minor advantage there. However, no one is responding to High. That Zed split pushing on the side. Dignitas might look for a 5v4 here. This could be their best chance to make some moves.
I actually think Cloud9 might try to initiate a little bit on Dignitas here, since they know High is making so much progress in the other lanes.
He's certainly getting that turret down quickly. Down below 1/4, a few attacks to go, and that is his, which will just continue to elevate this gold lead. Now 5-4 in turrets. Almost 10,000 gold here for Cloud9. They managed to let High take that down and prevent the recalls for just long enough. But High's going to walk right into a fear. This could be rough for him. The stun as well. Shen stand united. KiWiKiD participates. Jumps in. High trying to get away from this one. Patoy forced to flash. Taunt comes in. The rest of Cloud9 has arrived as well. KiWiKiD with the death mark on. Flashing away. Low on health. Pops barrier. High still showing up. Oh, Sneaky makes that one happen.
That was a nice save by Sneaky. You don't think of AD carry saving that much.
Oh!
Now it's just chasing down Dignitas.
And the spider gets squashed right there, even in her own web. And Cloud9, though, Sneaky gets found out right here. He's not sneaking around too much. Slow comes out, Ignite as well. Good shutdown there for Scarra.
I'll give him that one. That was a nice move, being able to just squash Sneaky's rat at that point. But again, Cloud9 got 2/3 of the turret in Dignitas' mid lane and still came out behind on the kills.
It's true, so +3 right there, 9,000 gold as well. Crumbzz still looking for an engage. The one saving grace we mentioned that Dignitas has is the catch potential. They can jump on someone from pretty far away and find things out. So I feel like theoretically, if Cloud9 missteps their split push, they can give away kills. They can give an opening to Dignitas.
Unfortunately though, I think at this point, Cloud9 has too strong of a tank line, and they already picked a relatively strong teamfight control composition where they might just group up. Cloud9 might not really need to split push anymore, since they're almost on the inhibitor level turrets at this point, have enough gold and enough armor on Meteos, who just finished that Locket of the Iron Solari. By the way, we're still on the 3.9 patch, so both those items still exist. They no longer build, they don't build into each other anymore on live. But yeah, Cloud9 is probably going to group up and potentially just dive Dignitas, since they know Dignitas wants to scatter and not straight up teamfight.
So here we go then, the red buff being grabbed by Cloud9. They're looking to take all those objectives, all the advantages. Oh, they're going to pick up Scarra instead. Deathmark comes across, jumping forward with the Shadow Clone. He is going to go down. But however, High is caught alone right there. Good counter kill there by Dignitas. I feel like it gives him some breathing room.
Yeah, it does. That definitely wasn't worth it for High. If he could have gotten the kill and escaped, absolutely. But now a 4v4 on a turret is actually much worse than a straight up 5v5.
There we go. KiWiKid's going to find Meteos as well. Puts some damage onto him, but the Fed Elise kind of some of Meteos' health, and Zac survives anyways. That's not a good sign. And Cloud9 actually find ways to go into the mid lane. That turret goes down, and the team sneaks out.
Solid movement across the board by Cloud9. Sneaky's build's very interesting to me as well. Just Blade of the Ruined King, Last Whisper, Static Shiv. You usually see a Bloodthirster or an Infinity Edge at some point on Twitch, but because they're just roaming around and Sneaky is just kind of popping up in random areas, he wants the assassination potential he gets from the Blade of the Ruined King active and the Static Shiv burst upfront damage.
Yeah, was he the player who said he just like really likes Static Shiv and he'll build
Over
it?
everything.
Over everything.
Sneaky will build a Static Shiv in every game because he feels like the stats are close enough to Phantom Dancer that the surprise factor and the utility you gain from the wave clear are superior in every way.
Okay, and of course he never gets farm anyway, so if he can like steal some with lightning, then he feels better about himself.
Yeah, get a little bit faster.
Here we go, the jump back in on a Scarra's got nowhere to go. This Kassadin burning down. Takes him down with the death mark as well, but the team fight has gone in.
No.
There comes Sneaky from the side. Kill picked up on the KiWiKiD, 2-0 so far. Crumbzz Shirellia's popped out because Crumbzz have anywhere to go right now. He does not. Taunt comes out, double kill for High. Great team fight for Cloud9.
Yeah, Dignitas got a little bit too far from home there, and it allowed Cloud9 to jump onto Dignitas for the team fight without having the danger of any turrets. This could be the next breaking point for Dignitas, as it seems like their base is indefensible now. There's no way KiWiKiD and Patoy can save this against the 4 Cloud9 members that are pushing straight up the mid lane.
And there's certainly no turret in front, so the inhibitor is going to be theirs. Dragon is available, Baron's up in a minute. We'll see what Cloud9 goes for. The next few seconds, it's going to be a backdoor onto this top turret, and High is coming in with a fresh minion wave. This will be a little bit close to see if they can stay for the inhibitor or if they back out after this.
Cloud9 just has two people that don't take damage right now with Balls and Meteos. It's gotten to a point where Balls has actually built the Blade of the Ruined King on Shen. Let's see if they fight him off here.
Well, they find High, and High goes down right there. Can they get the rest of the team fight now? Is the chase available? Zyra comes off, knocks up almost everyone from Dignitas. That disengage was crucial for LemonNation.
Yeah, that's the reason they pick Zyra against these teams. Stop Dignitas from being able to chase, keep the team fight control up. I'd say Cloud9 stuck the appropriate amount of time in the base to get the 2 inhibitors and then try to make their escape here as Scar tries to chase.
One thing to point out, though, is there's a 10-second window between Baron coming up and High being dead. I wonder if Dignitas has a chance to do anything here. Problem is, KiWiKiD's bottom and Patoy's base.
It was a nice thought.
Yeah, I was like, hey, maybe.
Yeah, that was a nice thought. But now KiWiKiD's taking the dragon, trying to inch the gold lead back, and there's a very outside chance that Dignitas would be able to make a comeback here. But just based on the way this game's been going for the last 15 minutes, Cloud9 has been in complete control.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see right there the attack speed slow hurt. I did know, actually.
Yeah, and the true damage?
Yes.
It no longer interrupts recall. That was a change that happened like 6 months ago.
Which was so good, because you'd like recall and shop, and you'd be like, oh, I'm not in base. Oh, I should probably actually recall for real this time around.
That was annoying.
I was really bad about that. I got caught so many times doing that. Anyway, guys, we are, of course, looking at Cloud9 with Baron up, but they're not looking for it. Last time they got it was after a team fight win, so they're not just trying to sneak the Baron out. They're actually looking for maybe a team fight first.
One huge benefit that Dignitas had when they pushed Cloud9 out of their base is it allowed them to set up wards around this Baron area. So it actually makes the Baron not uncontested by Cloud9 if Dignitas wants to try something creative here. There's a very low chance this works, but they're going to try.
They're going to go all in. Crowstorm by as well. The fear on LemonNation. He's going to get his DPS combo off now. And here we go. 1 kill picked up and traded back as Kassadin falls over High, low on health. And here we go. What else can these guys do? It's going to be KiWiKiD trying to run away. Balls and Meteos want him to fall over. Repel comes off. And now we see the flash from Sneaky getting away from Crumbzz. That was crucial. KiWiKiD, though, still getting chased out. Sneaky off in the wings. KiWiKiD could theoretically assassinate him if he catches the attack. Good flash there, dodges the knockup. KiWiKiD is around, stun off on the balls, but he's not the target they want to go for. But Patoy is around. Taunt comes off on a Crumbzz. Crumbzz not in the best place right there. Jumps away. And here we go, the chase still on. Meteos walking forward, gets feared, but he has tenacity, doesn't get feared for long. High comes in, flash forced by KiWiKiD. They're still chasing.
How many flashes do these guys have? Every skill shot seems to get dodged at the last possible second.
I
think they ran out. They ran out of flashes.
I think they ran out of flashes. Knock up though on the High. He doesn't have flash. 2 for 1 though still for Cloud9. And the chase continues. Meteos He's going to go for the Let's Bounce. They find Imaqtpie. They find KiWiKiD. 2 more kills picked up, and the minions are in the base of Dignitas.
And Cloud9 wins the marathon here. Scarra has respawned since the start of that fight, and now is the sole Dignitas defender as Cloud9 pushes for the Nexus.
But there are too many minions for Cassidy to wave clear. He had a problem killing minions at the beginning of the game. He's going to have a problem killing them now. This is going to be GG. Great win picked up by Cloud9, and with this win, they guarantee themselves a top 2 finish in the season, and they get themselves a bye in the first week of the playoffs. But hey, they still got 7 games to go.
Cloud9 is just so dominant. I feel like Dignitas actually approached Cloud9 in a very smart way in the pick and ban phase, but like always, Cloud9 just took it in stride. They still picked this champions because their champion pool is so large, and they were still able to play the same style. A little bit of a trip up after the game, but it doesn't matter then.
As long as he's got the hand-eye coordination. The foot-eye coordination not as good, but we're playing League of Legends, not DDR, so hi, you're still good to go. Doing well with that one. Of course, as you said, I think you're right, that Dignitas had a good early approach. They made a lot of great moves. They had some rough lanes, and that was well done by Cloud9, but I like their early game movements. Now, of course, this moves Dig down to 6th. They're actually now very, very close to Curse. They're between Curse and Coast now in the standings.
All of these games for that middle of the pack between 3rd and 7th are so important. And I think they're all looking at their schedule right now and saying, all right, how many games do we have left against Cloud9? Crap. They don't want to play Cloud9 because those are the ones they keep losing to. KiWiKiD had a chance in that game to really make something happen when he started 6-1, but then he ended the game 7-8, so it was just total shutdown at that point. And then Scarra never got going. And this is what I was talking to Crumbzz about a little bit last week. Crumbzz feels like he needs to do more to get his solo lanes involved because when Dignitas is really humming along, it's Scarra and KiWiKiD that are tag-teaming people and killing them. It's just not what happened in that game. Cloud9 had an answer.
Yeah, so aside from a couple of good team fights, good job by Cloud9, and they took that one home. So guys, we've got to take a short break, but when we return, we'll be joined by Cloud9's Meteos to talk about their win, earning a first-round bye in the playoffs. Then it's time for our second